Okay, so the signal is bad and hopefully it'll be better. If it's not better, then we accept the things that we cannot change. Hi all, and it's lovely to be out on a Sunday. And what I'm noticing wherever I go to today is that, okay, I'm sitting in a car, so don't shoot me down, is that there's very few people wearing masks, if any. I think it's come to that stage now where life is just gonna move on and get back to normal. You know, I was reading a report now of some people that complained about a guy's restaurant was full and they got upset because the restaurant was too full and it wasn't split 2 meters. Hey, these oaks have been suckling. These guys have been through a hard time. The small business and the small restaurants, and I'm not talking about the chains, the you know, like the chain store restaurants here, but they struggled to put food on the table, you know, and worst of all, they struggled to put food on the table of their workers. So give it a break, man. Stop acting like a bunch of arseholes, man. If a man must make his money to feed his family, let him make his money to feed his family, man. At least he's not stealing the money like the government and march organizers and all that kind of crap, man. If a person is working hard and he has to put food on his on the table for him and his children and his wife, that's his duty to do that. They have suffered so much. We've all suffered during this lockdown. So why can't we just rather all build each other up and say, hey, hold it, man. Small business, do a good job, I will help you. Everyone has suffered. But can't we rather also turn that around and say, okay, we've suffered. We know what some people have gone through their whole lives. And now we're going to build a better South Africa. We can't want the change in South Africa if we don't have a better plan. Because you may put, let me just call it a bit. Now, don't call me racist, but you can if you want. I'm not a racist. And I'm not going to say I've got black friends. Just like I love the Jews, and it doesn't mean that I haven't got Muslim friends. You know what I mean? Let's get real here. Is that if you suddenly take the black African people and you take them all out of cabinet and you put white people in there, they could be just as corrupt. Or you put Indian people in there, they could be just as corrupt. So it doesn't matter the color. We must stop complaining as a nation. I don't mean complaining. We must stand up for our rights. We must say our say. But when it's your brother next to you and he's just trying to keep his restaurant open for a half an hour longer just to make a couple of more bob, his waiters and waitresses could also get money. Let's you know, it's true, Natalie. Not only South Africans are unemployed, you know, there's people all over the world that are unemployed, and need to stand together for us that love God. And it doesn't mean that because we're down because this person is now irritating me. Phone down, and then 2 minutes later they phone you again. Now obviously there's a reason you put the phone down. You know, sometimes, Carl, I just get totally out of my skull. Natalie, I'm still waiting for those. How's it, Barry? True, my brother. So true. We must stop complaining. Stop trying to bring our own people down. How's it, Greg? Patrick? Michelle? Johan? And the rest that I cannot see. Kyle? Christopher? Okay, so what did we think of yesterday? What did we think? Was it a success? Has it made a difference? Has it made Ramaphosa not sleep last night? Or is he just going to go on with his own little issue? Because I still think, and this is just like my humble little view, you may not agree with the opinion expressed in that group, but it gives you food for thought. Then you can weigh it up and say, hey, may not agree with this point, but I reckon this is a very good point they're making. I don't agree with it. And it doesn't become obtrusive and obstructive and all that. You can't have a group that is representing the country, or meant to be representing the country, or telling they're meant to be representing.
There we go.
I'm sorry, man, I am driving through Carl is driving through the mountains here, so, you know, we have to accept the things we cannot change. And with all the groups, get a committee, get an agenda, and get a memorandum of understanding. Because we all know, I can go stand at Parliament now, and I can say, crime is out of control, corruption, gender-based violence, drug addiction, socio-economic, no houses, no sewerage, no water, roads are stuffed up, no UIF. So you can virtually, without even looking at a piece of paper, tell the government what is wrong. Because the government know what's wrong. But if I go over there with the government, this is what we have identified as wrong, you know it's wrong, but this is the alternative to it. We must have an alternative. You know, you can't say that, in my opinion, that we don't like, for instance, Kentucky Fried Chicken because sometimes the chicken isn't cooked lekker. What's the alternative? Then I'm going to go to Lion King. Or you say, okay, I'm not going to go to McDonald's because the patties are too thin and they're boring. We're not going to go to then. We're going to go maybe mommy or the wife or the boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, so you can make a better burger. You know what I mean, Carl? Must be an alternative. I don't like 4x4 Toyota, so I'm going to go try 4x4 Ford or Suzuki or some kind of crap. But you can't just go and say, enough. Sorry about the connection again. So you can't expect the courts to say, okay, Johnny's appearing for day one. Johnny, because the people have screamed outside this court, I'm going to give you 50,000 years in prison for 50 million rand fraud. You must be original. People, like I know, I've been in a bit of politics in my life. It's dangerous in the way that it stuffs you up mentally. It's a very dirty game. Your best friend in politics is actually your worst enemy. It's like yesterday, you know, we do our marches and that every Friday for the last like 10 years. And we used to get a lot of newspaper coverage. Now I don't even bother contacting the newspapers because I'm not there for the newspaper coverage, because I've got social media. And the people who work with me have got social media, and they can send it out to the people. No one did I see in a mention yesterday talk about the biggest pandemic hitting South Africa and the world, and that is drug addiction. I saw no one talk about how drugs and alcohol, etc., is breaking the families up. Did you hear that, Carl?
Not at all, sir.
And we're not stoned.
No, sir.
We used to be stoned.
Yes, used to be.
Used
You're
to
the
be.
only one who does talk about it, sir.
Correct. I almost like a, hey, Greg, I can't pull over. I've got a destination go to, my bro. Like, how's your mind? Hey, Greg, if I must pull over, I'm going to carry on talking for 2 hours, and then I'm not going to get to my destination, and the curfew's at 10 o'clock, which you don't really worry about. And then what's the problem? You know what I mean, Greg? I'm trying here. We're believing in good faith that it won't break up again. Because I love speaking to people. I love it, and I love when people communicate back and say, how's it, and how you doing? And so this. Now I'm not driving while I'm talking. I will never do that. I've got a permanent driver. I don't even think he'll allow me behind the wheel, but that's okay. It's my car, but like, you know what I mean. That's just been humble that he can. Hey, Carl, you enjoy driving, huh?
I love it, sir.
Okay, so then you just carry on driving and watch the road, and I'll talk to the lovely people here. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Maybe in the past when you were so stoned and you couldn't drive.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have seen in our drug rehabilitation center, it's not a drug rehab, it's a drug rehab, but it's more drug rehabilitation and sober living and getting the guys jobs and mixing with the families and outreaches, going to the old age homes. And that's so beautiful. We go to the old age homes. Now we haven't been allowed to go to the old age homes because of Chinese virus. So we miss the old people. Yeah, I will agree with you there, Roger. I was lucky enough to while I was driving in, or car was driving in Worcester, we met Morna and Nunu, and I think they humble people. Nunu was an absolute pleasure to talk to, but that could have been done on its own, you know what I mean? They were the success, and to me, the crosses on the highway were the success.
Yeah.
It's to reach the people. It's, you know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. When we did the Zuma Must Fall March, we did it constantly, and we gave speeches, and there were 3 or 4 of us who gave speeches at the Grand Parade and that, and there was a lot of press there, and we kept up the pressure. Then it was 2 weeks later, then a week later, but it was so well organized in a disorganized way, because they could see the people that were organizing it had the heart and soul for the Republic of South Africa. Can't buy a march. You can't go to, you know, if you want a donation for an organization that consists of the people, by the people, for the people, what do we really need money for? We have to put something into our own cause. I've had my center for 15 years. No government has given me a cent. I was very lucky to meet 2 people that believed in me, and they gave me my break in life. But they didn't go out with a begging bowl. I'm an MPO. I didn't go out with a begging bowl and say, government, give this or government. No, I had the belief. I love you too, Klatsy. I had the belief that I knew what I was doing, and I'll make a success of it. So when the Portfolio Committee of Parliament came there a year and a bit away, Carl,
Yes, sir.
and they rated us the best in South Africa, it was humbling. But then again, anything that comes from Parliament is dangerous.
True.
You know what I mean? So maybe they just like the eats we put on for them. Okay.
Or maybe government knew they could never establish an organisation as well as you did.
Diane, you ask a question here, where did the million go? Well, we got information, and I you see, man, people seem to send me information because I will talk and I will investigate and talk to my sources, talk to my friends. I just don't take the decision on my own to say, you know, I'm some oak. I'm a drunk saved by grace. Let's get that on the record. The million plus money, we've gone up to 2 million at this stage. So, you know, so he must explain where that money went to. And it's not to explain to Anthony Hall because, hey, I'm just nothing in this world. I'm just a drunk saved by grace who runs a very successful rehabilitation center, gets people jobs, goes out and works for the people, goes out and works for the old age homes, has a partnership with the Animal Welfare Society of Sandy's Eden. I'm on the board of the Animal Welfare, and I love animals. I just love animals. But what I do hate is theft, man. Because I can't call you a thief if I'm a thief. Okay? I'm just reading here. Hello, Felicity. Sorry, hi, Charmaine. Elise. Thank you, Elise. Bless you. Sure, I can't see this name, eh? Seen one or something like that. Klatsy by Bianca, Lynette. Okay, I'm sorry I can't see everyone here. Michelle, because it's a bit of a rocky road. Yeah, so Diane, you know, I've had a lot of calls today and a lot of SMSs and emails, and you know what? Not emails, I lie. WhatsApps. Is that people are asking because they know that we're vocal. We've always been an activist organization, not only for drugs. But what is so sorry is that people aren't worrying what is happening to our youth and say, okay, well, it's self-inflicted. Don't talk nonsense to me all the time. Self-inflicted. Billions was thrown into the AIDS pandemic. Wasn't that self-inflicted?
Self-inflicted, yes, sir.
Okay, I know a lot wasn't self-inflicted, but AIDS was self-inflicted, man.
Yes, sir.
You got AIDS if you did whatever you shouldn't have done.
Amen, sir.
So why can't they do it for drug addiction? A bigger pandemic, killing more people. But you know why government likes it? Because a weak generation coming through, an addicted generation coming through, He's no threat to the government.
And addiction is a recognized disease, so
Yes,
having irresponsible sex is not.
correct. That is a disease. I didn't think that's a very good point you make there, Carl. You just keep on driving because it's a very good point.
Yes.
Then we got that young lady in Bontierville. Beautiful lady. I think she was 28 years old. Help me out here, someone. Please. Who's just been shot to death. Come on, man. Tragic. Another family in mourning. If we want to see some kind of a difference, I believe we have to make a difference. We're trying to make a difference in the drug world. That is my, how can I say, is my speciality. I know what I'm talking about when it comes to drugs and alcohol, because I've spent most of my life either as a drug squad detective or drugged, and running my organization. Why don't people speak about that? Chantal, someone says, yeah, excellent point, Carl. Okay, that's hardcore. Carl says, thank you very much, Chantal. He doesn't often get any compliments, but that was very kind of you. I'm sure you'll read that post over and over and over again today. Are we going to smoke or are we not going to smoke? We can't smoke. Yes, and another murdered, 31 years old. Tragic. Tragic. The country burns. Now, not going to, and I'm saying this with due respect now. If we had to put on our car, rail car, are covered and there's a word for it. Branded. Okay, it's his Carl. You're on a roll today. Carl's on a roll today.
Yes, sir.
Because he's off his 5 years prison sentence. So he doesn't have to go to prison anymore. Congratulations, Carl.
Thank you, sir.
I've never seen Carl give such good answers since his prison. Oh, gets 3 years suspended for 5. So now they're suspended. The 5 years was up on Friday. And he said, I know I'm jumping the subject here, and he said he's now free. He feels like when Nelson Mandela walked out of Victor Verster, he didn't know whether to fight or just accept. So he gave a beautiful speech. Yeah, Natalie, it's sad. People died of AIDS. People are dying of drug addiction. Okay, sorry, it's these mountains again. What were we talking about, Carl?
About AIDS.
About AIDS.
Speak about
Yeah, it is the reason that I've got the rail organization today. I haven't got rail for no other reason. Most of my people who come there are sponsored by us, and we try and keep the others as low as possible. And I opened that organization, well, not the organization, but the farm, and then first of all the organization before we had the farm, 5 years before we had the farm. And I used to travel this country on my own expense. And I was far from a rich man, far from it, to go and carry the message wherever I could. At schools, churches, colleges, to go tell my story, and then someone heard my story via social media and then invited me overseas to America. I spoke in Ohio, I spoke in New York, I spoke in Bali, and to Portugal. I spoke in Israel, in a bunker in Israel. That was like amazing, Carl, you know what I mean? Yeah, you're speaking in the bunker and you don't have the bombs coming, bro. It's like different level shit. That's different level shit, you know what I mean? And yeah, so this. Okay, Carl, you got another compliment here from Beverly. Great, Carl, awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, Beverly, he says thank you. That's enough compliments for Carl now. He's going to get swollen-headed. And he's only just come out of the suspended sentence, so we don't want to get him to make more children, so he has to pay more maintenance. And yeah, what a fine man, you know. He's paid his way the whole time. He's done well. He's a drug addict. He's saved by grace. He's sober. He's sober driving in his car. Graham is with us, and Graham's 5 years sober from heroin.
Amen.
You know, so it's a guy came to see me today. It touched me to my roots, because I'm quite an emotional local. I used to be emotional when I was drunk, and then I used to sing My Way all the time. It was my dad's favorite song, but I couldn't sing it properly, but I tried it. Thank you, Diane. And a guy who was on the farm, on our farm 6 years ago. And he came with a criminal pending case against him. He did very well in the 8 months he stayed by us. And then I went to court and I testified for him. And we kept him out of a very long sentence. And we're still friends today, and the family. And he came to visit me today because he's 6 years sober today. And he brought us cake, and he brought, and he had his little daughter there, he's 4 years old. I remember her sitting in court while I was testifying for her daddy. And he was there with his wife, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful reunion and beautiful respect that the man could come back 6 years later and say thank you. Those are the solutions. You know, we don't often hear the good stories. The good stories that happen to addicts and alcoholics, addicts who come in here totally broken. I know Dominic's online, and so is Diane. If you can join our live shares at between 8 and 9, but it's always advertised what time, you'll hear miracles. And the miracles are not performed by Anthony Hall. Let's not get like too heavy here. The miracles are performed by the grace of God. We are just the feet and the hands. What has also disappointed me, Carl,
Yes, sir.
is the lack of religious leaders in the last while.
Amen.
Where are these oaks who walk up and down? Okay, sorry about that. I don't know if God cut it or the devil. Hi, Lona. Patrick, how's it? My brother's name. Is the lack of religious leaders in going against the corruption, let's leave the, corruption, going against the government. Where are they? And I'm not judging them. Don't people please say don't judge, because I'm not judging. But isn't it what happened in the apartheid era that the religious people stood up? Remember Alan Busak, Bishop Tutu Bayes not here? They stood up. Where are our guys, Carl, that strut across the stage? I heard a minister this morning. He says, I've been very disciplined. He's wearing a tight shirt like you wear, Carl.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? And he says to his, I have been very undisciplined this week. I've been to the gym every day. Can't you see it?
Oh, no.
And it's from a big congregation. I just wanted to throw the TV in. But our religious leaders, it's time to get out of their office and get to the streets. Get up and stand and talk against it. But you know why? They want to be politically correct.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Chantal, you're right. Huh? We've had quite a few people get married on the farm. They've come there for their addiction. They've got sober. 3 years later, they come back and they get married on the farm. And we've got a beautiful small holding, absolutely beautiful. And we don't charge them anything, because you know what it is? It's another family who reunited. It's another family saved. I've been speaking about this for maybe 3 decades around the world, but I'm yet to have one corporate or government, and I've had government ministers' children get sober by us on the farm. I've had ministers, I've had top policemen's children get sober on my farm, but none will come and say, you know, let us help you to expand up. But it's all been civil society people. People are not stupid. People see what you're doing. And if you're transparent, it's lovely. Yesterday we had family day, eh, Carl?
Yes, sir.
That farm was packed. It was packed.
It's beautiful to see.
You know, we allow people in there all the time. You won't even know who the addicts are, because there's only addicts on there. The only non-addict on there is my mother. You know, and she's 87, and she's still chief of the army there. And fathers and mothers left there yesterday saying, that the difference in their children's eyes and the way their children look. It's the hardest calling in the world, I believe, because you're dealing with people whose minds are a bit fucked from the drugs. Excuse my language, ladies. I know Diane doesn't swear. Now, if I was a leader of an organization that had a march yesterday, the first thing I would have done this morning, I'm not going to say I'm different to him or whatever, don't get me wrong, I'm trying to be humble here. I would have made a video and released it to the world. I haven't read any video. Yvette, I haven't read any video, nothing at all. You know, Carl, cocaine is expensive, huh?
Extremely so.
Cocaine is very expensive. Yeah, so we've covered a couple of topics. I love speaking to you guys. It's like we get to know each other better. And Natalie, I'm waiting for that information so I can go visit mom and dad and then take a cake. Yeah, Diane, I don't know. Debbie Else was the one who sent the voice note saying that he's a crook, etc., etc., etc. I asked her to release it to the public. I've released it to a couple of people, but hey, I don't want to comment, but I don't want to play double sides of the fence, because that's exactly what happens. He runs the man down to the ground, call him a crook, and the next minute wants to take photographs with him. I can't be skyneilig, because I was two people when I drank. When I was sober, I was the nicest guy since sliced bread. When I was drunk, I was the biggest pig. Hello, Rebecca. Hello, Ina. I was the biggest pig. Yeah, so we will converse again. And I just want to say again, cocaine is very expensive. You can read into it what you like. But I've got more connections than most people because I come from the underworld, from the police, from gangsterism, and now I'm on the road to sobriety of 15 years. You never lose your contacts, because you know what? You never blit on your contacts, and you never tell a person who your contacts are. So we will chat soon, and it's been lovely. I will just close with, if you've got an organization, and I'm not attacking Jared Petzina at all, I'm taking the moral of it. If you've got an organization that you ask people to pay you for them to emigrate out the country, then you open up an organization to say, I'm staying. So now you're getting money from both. And then you open a march to say that, please, let's march around this country. There's 1 million people. But if you take all the people of yesterday, it wouldn't have filled half of Newlands Rugby Stadium. So we have to be honest, because our leaders must be accountable. We can't want Ramaphosa and Chucky Chelly, etc. to be accountable if we're not accountable. We have to be accountable. And we have to be accountable to each other. People have said to me, well, I'll go back into politics. What do you do now, bro?
Just turning to make the entrance, sir.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we have to run. And we're going to chat later. We'll chat on the way back. God bless you. And we'll wait for your questions. Thank you. Bye-bye.